We're here with Mike Barron talking about horror.
Greetings, my friends. Horror is one of the most difficult genres to write successfully because it depends on a suspension of disbelief on the part of the reader, which the writer has to create through nuance and description. I'm not talking about slasher or torture porn. I'm talking about supernatural terror, which is the most terrifying because every human being is terrified at some level of the unknown. And it's up to the horror writer to put their finger on the pulse of that terror by describing the unknown in such a way as it becomes real. And the goal with every writer of fiction is to grab the reader by the throat and drag him into the narrative so that he no longer feels that he's experiencing artifice, but is living the adventure. We all know where horror comes from. Mary Shelley is its godmother. Edgar Allan Poe delved into it. Bram Stoker, the classic horror monsters, Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, the zombie, if you must, the creature from the Black Lagoon, they all deal with our fear of the unknown. I never thought that I would write horror. I tried for years, and I finally gave up before I came back to it. And when I came back to it, I was ready. But while I was working for DC Comics, Kelly Jones and I did a series on Dead Man, which has been collected in multiple versions. This is the big one. You can get a paperback trade collection from DC. They're available on Amazon or any quality comic book store. But when I delved into horror without the benefit of pictures, and here's a little aside, comics are one of the worst mediums for horror because the picture that you draw on the page, no matter how terrifying, cannot compare to the images that you conjure in the darkened recesses of your own mind. Nevertheless, many readers have told me that this is one of the scariest comics they've ever read. I finally took the plunge, and my first successful horror novel was Banshees, which is about a satanic rock band that comes back from the dead. Then I wrote Scorpio. This is an intimate horror novel. It's about a ghost who only appears under a blazing sun. And it'll scare the pants off you. Then I wrote a haunted house story. This is based on a real house in Los Angeles. And I'm very proud of this. I think it's one of the best haunted house stories ever made. But it's also about the comic book industry because my protagonist is a failed comic book artist who moves to Los Angeles into this house to find work in the film industry. All my books are available on Amazon. Thank you for listening.
All right, thanks, Mike.